thanking you and telling you my appreciation for being part of this celebration of Tamás, both his life and his work. I'm very sorry that I couldn't be part of this meeting in person. As it so happens, I was in Budapest last week, but the timing just didn't work out. I'm in Bolzano right now together with Paolo Lugli, a longtime colleague who also had interactions with Tamás, and I'm going to say a little bit more about it later, and I think Paolo is going to add a few words too. So this is not going to be a technical talk, but what I would like to do is reflect on my interaction with Tamás over the years. And thinking back, it has been now about 35 years that I've known Tamás and had the pleasure and privilege of working with him on several projects. So I first met Tamás when I joined Notre Dame in the late 1980s, where the strength of the department at Notre Dame at that time was in the circuits area. And in particular, colleagues like Ray-Wan Liu and Tony Michel were fairly well known in this area and were the reason that Tamás would stop by on his travels to Berkeley at that time, where he started out having regular visits to Berkeley. And so he also stopped at Notre Dame. Now, our interactions intensified quite a bit with Arpad Churgai, whom I met first in 1995. At that time, I was on sabbatical at the TU Munich. And as it so happened, Professor Nosek invited me to give a talk at his Lehrstuhl, which was close to when I was finishing up my sabbatical around June of 1995. And after my talk, I started talking with Arpad, who showed interest in this work. And that was the start of I think, pretty remarkable collaboration and interactions. Arpad and Ildiko, since then have spent a significant amount of time at Notre Dame, typically half a year for about 15 years or so. I don't remember the exact number of years, but anyway, it has been a significant interaction. And it was not only an interaction on technical topics, but also an interaction regarding exchange of students. And I was lucky to have a stream of excellent Hungarian students who came to Notre Dame and received their PhD there. So Professor George Csaba, who is now with Pázmány for about 10 years, was one of my first students at Notre Dame, and he started a project on nanomagnetism. And there has been a stream of students since then, like Edith Varga and Gerger Zagman, Alexandra Imre, and more recently Adam Papp, who now is back to the Pázmány University also. Some of the students who came went to other universities, and some went to industry. So in terms of interactions with Tamás, there was an interest at that time where his CNN chips had optical sensors in the visible, to also have sensors in the infrared and in particular multispectral sensors. And so we started a collaboration where our focus was on developing nano antennas, tunable nano antennas, where you could tune the wavelengths by tuning the length of an antenna, just like you would expect from a classical antenna, especially aimed at the infrared. And we had sponsored projects, some major project actually, which was funded by the ONR, by the Office of Naval Research, a MURI, a multidisciplinary university research initiative grant, which ran for the typical 3+2 option years, and then we had some no-cost extensions, and I'm going to say a little bit more about it later on. So with Tamás, we met at numerous conferences like CNNA, ISCAS. Arpad already showed some pictures, in particular about the ISCAS in Arizona with cowboy hats and all of that. We also had CNN technology assessment meetings, some of them in Budapest, some of them in Seville. Tamás used to come to Washington, D.C. quite frequently to meet with representatives of the Office of Naval Research, who was a major sponsor for him. Most of the funding he received came through the London ONR office, but also meetings at the National Science Foundation with the international program, Bonnie Thompson, and I frequently joined him in DC for these types of meetings. So in addition to research, we also had funding from the National Science Foundation for undergraduate exchange research experiences for undergraduates, where we would send US students to Budapest, but also students from Budapest to the US. I mentioned before two of the excellent Hungarian students, Edith Varga and Gerga Zachman, who came to Notre Dame as part of the REU program, and they ended up being married, and now they have a very nice family with three beautiful boys. So there have been lots of interactions over the years, and I started out by telling you the first time I met Tamás in the late 80s. The last time I met Tamás was at a meeting in Munich in late 2013. At that time, we were just starting another program funded by the National Science Foundation, which included an international exchange with Budapest and also Munich. So at that meeting, which was a very nice lunch meeting in Munich, Paolo Lugli was there. And I remember very clearly after that lunch meeting, Tamás had to fly back to Budapest, and he was going to come to Notre Dame a few days later. And so we said goodbye on the U-Bahn on the way to the airport. And unfortunately, a couple of days after that meeting, he got the bad news about his cancer. We had the CNNA meeting at Notre Dame in 2014, short after the passing away of Tamás, and we started out with a memorial session in honor of Tamás at CNNA 2014. So that's basically what I wanted to tell you here, just show you some of the funded projects we had. The first one was more focused on circuits together with Yifang Huang and Raymond Liu, who I mentioned before. By the way, Yifang Huang sends his greetings also. He happens to be on leave right now at the National Science Foundation, where he's a program officer. Then the major program we had was this MURI program with the Office of Naval Research, which also had industrial interaction with Eutychus, both funded through ONR and also through the Missile Defense Agency, MDA. Paul Koski are some of the names, and Pashang Esfandiari. Some of you might remember those names. And so the last program that I mentioned, we just started when we had this lunch meeting, this planning meeting in Munich, is the one which is listed here at the end. So I just wanted to mention that we're co-editors on a book with Shagan Batar, who had taken over from Larry Cooper with the ONR, and this book essentially is the final report for this MURI project. So with that, I just wanted to express my appreciation to Tamás. the colleague, the mentor, and the friend that he has been over the years. And thank you again for allowing me to be part of this celebration. And with that, Paolo, I don't know if you want to just say a few words. Okay, Paolo is going to take over.
Okay, I hope you will forgive me for this intrusion. When Wolfgang told me about this, Wolfgang, you can turn off your... Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Wolfgang mentioned the workshop for Tamás, and I had the fortune to get to know him after I moved to Munich in 2022. And yes, one of the the characteristic of Tamás that I appreciated a lot and was mentioned also in previous talks was the interdisciplinarity, which meant not to overflow over a lot of discipline, but meant to go deep in each of those disciplines and work at the frontier between them. And I think that's extremely important for the future of engineering. I myself, coming from a more physical background, when I joined Technical University of Munich, and Josef Nosek was the dean that actually hired me, I tried to combine things like molecular electronics with circuit design, CNN, and this different application, because that's where the future is. So, and then I hired as a postdoctor Georgi Shaba, which is now a professor. Was a PhD student with Wolfgang, and with him also we did quite a lot of work on molecular electronics and also circuits for this type of application. And also was fortunate enough last year to visit Passmann University in Budapest. And I'll say that Tamás was a great person, was a great researcher. And although I didn't directly work with him, he certainly influenced the way that I'm doing my job. So thanks a lot.